High noon, Jones and Keefe on WEEI. A reminder, you can stream WEEI anytime on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Take it with you wherever you go all summer long, all year long. You can also listen on the iHeartRadio and TuneIn apps. It's been a while since we've talked to our next guest, Tom E. Curran, NBC Sports Boston, on a Tom E. Tuesday, high noon. What's going on, Tom E. Curran?
Great to be back. Great to be back. How you guys doing?
Very good. Oh, we're doing excellent. We've noticed it's tough to square away being bullish on the Patriots. I have them for 9 wins. Keefe has them for 10. And then also acknowledging that they're lacking in high-end talent. Jeremy Fowler's coming out with all these top 10 lists. NFL's doing its top 100 player countdown. Other various lists, CBS top 25, under 25, et cetera, et cetera. The Patriots are nowhere to be found on any of these lists, and yet we all have them for 9 or 10 wins, at least Keefe and I do. How do we square those two things away going into training camp next week?
The sum is greater than the individual parts, basically. To me, you look at that, you look at presumed and perceived improvement from their most important player in Drake Maye. You look at presumed improvement on the offense. You look at presumed output from guys like Diggs. You look at presumed performance along an offensive line that's been a disaster annually, and you look at a schedule that's going to be that much easier, and a division that does not house, as it did last year. I mean, last year, the AFC East had like 3 of the teams that were in the top 12 going into the season, according to most preseason rankings. The Jets were seen as, with Rodgers coming back, a team that should be in the upper half. The Dolphins were a top 10 team by most people's measures, and the Bills were the Bills. So I think you combine all of those things, and it's not just, whistling past the graveyard. They are not talented in individual spots, but at least now they have players that you can go and say with a straight face, this is our guy. We're good with Morgan Moses, for instance.
You mentioned the Jets and the Dolphins there. Do you think with all the changes that all 3 of these teams have made that the Patriots should be the second best team in the division?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I definitely do. I wrote something about that recently. I mean, the Dolphins are very much in transition mode, and I think that the buy-in with Mike McDaniel has seemed to wane drastically among the players. And I think he's been a good coach. I think he's an innovative coach, and everybody tends to at some point make a mistake or struggle in their first thought, regardless of who it is, and then he might be better down the road. But it seems as if it's a situation where the players are really having a hell of a lot more say than Mike McDaniel is, and the respect level seems to have waned. And then with the Jets, they have more individually talented players than the Patriots do. But they don't have a quarterback that you look at and say that's the answer, in my mind.
No, and I think that's fair. They signed Fields this offseason, so I would give the check mark to Drake Maye there. Speaking of him, we've talked a lot about potential year 2 leap for Drake Maye. How much better off can he be? What are your expectations for Maye on the field this season? Define that how you will.
I think he'll be a hell of a lot better. I think he'll be a hell of a lot more comfortable. I am always fascinated by second-year quarterbacks who have had success as rookies because, and it goes back to really watching it with Brady. Brady had success in his first year, obviously. In his second year, he made a lot of unforced errors, and a lot of it, and I remember talking to him about it, was trying to find out what he can't do. In his first year, he had the bumpers on in a lot of different situations and was trying to stay out of trouble. In his second year, he was a little bit more liberated to try and make things happen, and he led. I don't think he led the league, but he had his career high in interceptions that year. And he would underthrow deep receivers, and as his career went along, you can count on one hand the number of times he underthrew deep receivers. Chase Blackburn, 2011 Super Bowl. Just remember that. But it really was infrequent, and I think that Drake Maye is going to go through that kind of a season. Do I think that he's going to be a player who – look at it this way, Josie. He should be at least 2-to-1 touchdowns to interceptions. He should be over 3,500 yards passing. those would be things that and he should be over 500 yards, closer to 600 yards rushing. That would mean to me that he built on his first season. And those are just strictly numbers. We could do it a million other ones. But what do you think of that?
I agree. I mean, I think locally, most people are pretty high on Drake Maye. They like the rookie year. They look around and know they didn't have a lot to work with. He's got more to work with this year. Are expecting a year two jump. It's not unanimous, but I think pretty consistently you hear people happy about Drake Maye and think he's going to have a good year too. Nationally, this is a time where everybody's coming up with their own lists, and you have the players voting on the top 100. You have scouts and GMs on these anonymous, polls on ESPN or whatever else. He's pretty consistently in the 20s. Like when you rank starting quarterbacks 1 through 32, he finds himself in the 20s. Are you surprised by that, how he's viewed nationally?
I'm not, because he's only won one game.
Yeah.
And he was not the starter last year, and you can't put a guy who's only won one game ahead of, say, for instance, Geno Smith or Baker Mayfield or some of the guys who might be around 15, 16, 17, or 18.
Well, Baker Mayfield, 15, 16, Tom.
I know, he's like nice. I take that back. I think he was nice in the ESPN thing, right?
Thank you. Yeah, he's not high enough on most of these lists. But sorry, he's my guy.
Oh, I forgot the Baker thing.
That's my guy.
Who's shotgun and beers at the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Can't hate on him.
Cool dude.
Yeah.
Be that as it may,
yes.
I think that nobody has the opportunity to rise more drastically than May. And where would you think, if you do an end-of-season ranking, objectively speaking, by January 15th, taking the regular season into consideration, I think it'd be a little disappointing if he's not in the top half. If he's not,
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If he's not in the top 15, I would be disappointed. Yes.
And I think that's fair, and I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation to put on him. Can he rise to that? I don't think I've yet seen anything that indicates that he can't. I'd like to see him take care of the ball better at the end of the games, but in terms of physical and mental toughness, buy-in, dedication, in terms of being part of the program and wanting it to work in New England and wanting to be the franchise quarterback here, I don't think people really have much to wring their hands about.
Are you worried about durability at all? Because we were looking at some of those over-under numbers, and you had mentioned 3,500 yards passing. The Vegas line is like 3,250. The touchdowns is 19.5. And me and Jones last week were saying those are easy over locks if he plays 17 games. And last year he wasn't even asked to start 17, and he got hurt in 2 of them. So is that a concern to you at all?
Look at the way he got hurt, though. One was really dumb on his part, taking on too much in terms of trying to get a first down. I think it might have been a second down play, and he tried to stay in bounds, and he got croaked. And that was his own stupidity. And I think that some of that, too, is guys in their rookie year want to show their teammates, the fan base, their coaches, that I'm willing to take a hit for this football team. Hopefully he'll be more discerning this year. I think the other one was was it kind of a cheapie? Was it going down?
That was the one against the Jets. That was at the end of a big play. Yeah, that was against the Jets. I don't think it was it Sherwood? I don't think he was fined for the hit, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We had a lot of conversation, but I mean those are two. There's a way to protect yourself in those situations as opposed to a way to protect yourself, from somebody landing on you. So I would imagine that my feeling is his durability will be fine, because I think he's very physically tough.
So I was going to ask, and it's related to his durability, and you said something interesting when you were talking about May and his projected numbers, 500 or 600 yards rushing, which he was well on his way to doing last year if he played a 17-game schedule. And that's, reflective of early career Josh Allen. We were looking at Allen's year 1 and year 2 numbers. That would align with what he did those 2 seasons. Do you think Vrabel and McDaniels are going to let him run?
That's a great question, because we've heard so frequently, and in our conversations with Josh too, how much he has learned in the year off and how many more things that he might implement. And he's never worked really with a quarterback like Drake Maye. I mean, Jimmy could move around, but you weren't going to ask him to run around. Brady, you're not going to ask him to get on the perimeter and run. Not really in Las Vegas. I mean, maybe Jay Cutler could have run, but that was over before it started back in Denver. So to me, he has an opportunity to take advantage of that. And if other teams like Washington or Buffalo are taking advantage and winning games, or Baltimore, obviously, because their quarterback is a dual threat, then the Patriots should take advantage of that as well. I do think that you should take advantage and presume success and don't presume injury. And I think there was a lot of that last year with Alex Van Pelt. I'm going to presume injury, so we're just not even going to run him. I don't want to see him running. I don't know, man. You got to presume that the plays are going to work. Now, maybe when I think about it, maybe that's not the right way to go about it with the 2024 Patriots. Presume it's going to work. But anyway.
It went south quite a bit. Training camp begins a week from tomorrow. What is the biggest or a couple of the biggest storylines in your mind going into camp?
That's a great question. One is this defense as legitimately talented and stifling as it appears to be? We're going to find that out fairly early when Washington comes up in joint practices. That'll be a great opportunity, as will the opportunity to have joint practices with the Vikings. So you're going to play against two teams with young quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy, the best young quarterback in the league by all measures, is going to have a day against that New England Patriots defense and bring them to an understanding of just the improvement they need to make the next time they see an elite quarterback. But I think those are going to be great opportunities for them. That's the number one. The number two is, what exactly does Josh McDaniels have in mind to try and evolve the offense from what it was when he was here previously? I would say a third would be, is this offensive line as stable as one would hope? And the last one to me is, and I mentioned this to Billy, I didn't know if he passed it on to you or not, you have $60 million in cap space still. $15 million more than the second highest in the league. What are you going to do with it? Are you interested in a Jawan Jennings just because you have the money and say, what the hell, we'll sign a second-tier receiver or a Terry McLaurin? And that might be pissing up a rope, but what are you going to do? You can't even – there's nobody left to extend. They have that much money. So to me, there is opportunity, and Vrabel said that he acknowledged that they would keep looking. There is opportunity to make a deal for a player that you would spend $25 million or more a year on a new contract if he's disgruntled. How's that? I'm really
that's
fired
good
up.
stuff. I'm ready for camp.
That is good stuff. So what do you think they're going to do with it? Do you really think they're in on the McLaurin and maybe more specifically Juwan Jenningses of the world?
I just don't think – I think that those guys say, hey, I want a new contract or I'm disgruntled or I'm going to hold out. I mean, Jennings is going to show up for training camp, so he's not really going rogue. So to me, I think that they would do that, but I don't really think that those guys are on the trading block. I think that Washington would be out of its mind to move Terry McLaurin after the season that Jaden Daniels had with him. I mean, it's the going rate. You got to pay him $30 million. Tough. Do it.
The big storyline, or one of the big storylines last year, emerged during camp with Matthew Judon showing up, not showing up, on the field, no pad. Next thing you know, he's traded. Is there any player currently on the Patriots roster to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks that could be traded away rather than players they could bring in?
The only three that I would look at would be all of whom were re-signed last year. And this is not saying that they would. But the only logic of doing that would be to escape massive cap hits. Doesn't make sense to trade Mike Onwenu, but he has such a ridiculously high cap hit, $21 million, by far the most on the team, and next year's is even more, that if he's not performing the way a stable linchpin offensive lineman ought to, maybe you see on that. Ramondre Stevenson has a contract that he hasn't played to, and Kyle Duggar has the second highest cap hit on the team. But all three of those guys, I think, are good, solid players, maybe somewhat overpaid in each instance. But if you're going to be good, you need good players. You don't want to get rid of what you presume to be good players.
One more before we let you go here, at least one more from me, Tom. Bill Barnwell came out with his top 25 teams of the last 25 years in the NFL teams since 2000. He had 4 Patriots teams on that list. The 16 Patriots checked in 11th. The 03 Patriots checked in 7th. The '04 Patriots were number 3, and the number 1 team of the past 25 years was the '07 Patriots. How do you think he did?
Agree.
You do agree with that?
I love that. I love that. I mean, the Patriots, I remember saying when that game ended, and it was the 42nd, the Patriots go from being the best team of all time to being the 43rd best team of all time. And it just builds because they didn't win a Super Bowl. But, yeah, no, I wholly agree with that. That level of dominance, really only saw it from the Bears in '86 and maybe the 2000 Ravens. But that team on both sides of the ball with the Vrabels and the Harrisons and, you know, Asante Samuel for as much poop as he'll get for what happened in that game. I mean, that's a Pro Bowl level player. We could just talk about the players on those teams forever. Mankins. So, yeah, I love that. I was surprised that he did that, but I agree.
Yeah,
do you?
No,
Or you think it's stupid?
I kind of
don't.
do. I mean, I get you have to win a title to be the team, and I think if the Patriots didn't have any other title teams, because I'd be like, oh, well, '04 was better because at least they won the whole thing, but there was never anything like the dominance in the regular season that '07 brought. Like, that team was insane. I think until the end of the year, I think they more than covered the spread in every game, and the spreads kept going higher and higher, and they still covered until a couple close games late, but. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was Robert Kraft was on with Edelman on one of his podcasts the other day, and he was asked about like one of the great moves that or the best movie ever made, and he went all the way back to trading a first-round pick for Bill Belichick. What did you think of that answer?
I think that's a great answer. It really is because it was Bill or you're going to bring in Tom Donahoe and Dom Capers.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I'm at the Metro West Daily News and I'm saying they should go hire Butch Davis.
Yeah.
That was my idea.
Ooh, Butch from Miami, right? Oh, I like Butch Davis.
He took over all those
He
good
might have been
teams.
at Cleveland. He might have been
No, I'm sorry. University of Miami and then went to Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Yeah.
That's him,
Yeah. But yeah, that was inspired, especially since everybody said, why do you want to hire that unmade bed? I mean, he's a disaster. Why do you want to do that? So it was really smart. So I like that answer.
He's duplicitous pond scum is what he is. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, a compliment his way, which was interesting this week with Julian Edelman. Tommy Curran back on Jones and Keefe. High noon every Tuesday. It's Tommy Tuesday. Tom, we'll talk to you next Tuesday going into training camp. It's almost here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, guys. It's going to be a tremendous, tremendous season. Very interesting. I don't know if it's going to be tremendous on the field, but we're going to have a lot of fun right here on WEEI.
All right.
Great promo, Tom.
Tommy Curran, good stuff. Thanks so much.
See you, boys.
All right, Tommy Curran. Check him out on Twitter at Tom E. Curran. So you and he both agree with '07, number 1 of the last 25 years?
I mean, they were an absolute wagon. It's one of those things where I know it's the nature of football, but every other league has a best-of series. So, like the 96 Bulls, they didn't sweep the Sonics in the NBA Finals, right? Like they might be the greatest basketball team of all time. They lost twice in the NBA Finals. The Patriots lost one game all year by a couple of points, and it was with the craziest one-handed helmet catch that you've ever seen in your entire life. That team, was ridiculous. It was so good. I get your point. You got to win a championship, and I think most people agree with you.
Eli was down. Let's not forget that too.
He was down. He was in the grass.
Now let me tell you, the only other team in the top 10 for Barnwell was
didn't win a title.
The '01 Rams that didn't win a title.
Oh, see, they were also nasty, and I get that. And both were the victims of huge upsets in the Super Bowl. And Curran brings up a great point. So, if you lose the Super Bowl, are you now worse than every Super Bowl team?
No,
and if you at least
they're not worse than every Super Bowl.
Okay,
team.
but you at least open the door then to the discussion
Sure.
of, all right, you're better than some Super Bowl winners.
I'm open to the
then
discussion.
I would keep moving them up then.
If you lined them up, I know you can't do this, but you play the '04 Patriots played the '07 Patriots. Who wins?
The '07 Patriots.
The '04 Patriots. The 04 Patriots.
Where's Randy Moss? I didn't see Randy Moss.
The 04 Patriots ran into teams like the 07 Patriots. They were called the Indianapolis Colts.
Which rules
and
they
dominated them.
Can they hit guys or can they not hit guys?
So to me,
can they be physical on defense?
I would take 14 over 7.
So 04 and 14 are both insanely good.
2014 with Darrell, that team was, I think, wildly underrated in the history of in Patriots franchise history. I think that team's wildly underrated.
But just to open the door up to this conversation, 07 or 18.
Oh, definitely 07.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
so
is it-
I'm with you on
okay,
that.
all right,
I'm
all
not saying 07, they're below every Super Bowl champion ever. That would be foolish. But I would take 04 and 14
No,
over
it is.
07.
It is a good.
I'm not sure I would take any other one, but I would take those two.
I got it. I think it's a fascinating debate because I think knee-jerk reaction, especially here, where there are so many championship teams, that you're like, well, no, you got to put the top championship teams up there. So I very much understand that argument, but there are some teams, especially in football or like college basketball, where one and done knocks you out.
Would you rank the 01 Rams ahead of the 16 Patriots? That's what Bill Barnwell does.
Over the
01 Rams
Patriots.
lost. The 16 Patriots were the come-from-behind team against the Falcons.
Yes, I would. Greatest show on turf versus that team. Yeah, dude, greatest show on turf.
Yeah,
Hall of Famers across the
I'd
board.
rank the 99 Rams. I mean, if we went all the way back to 99.
That's why 01's so impressive, is because they did beat one of the 10 best teams of all time.
I think I'd take the 07 Patriots over the 01 Patriots.
So would I.
Yeah, right.
But they didn't get to play them. The
No.
01, they played greatest show on turf. But that's why it's so impressive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It was a higher degree of difficulty
Yeah.
than, for instance, the 04 Patriots just had to beat the Eagles.
Yep.
They also had to go through the Steelers and the Colts to get there.
No, but I'm not making the argument that the 01 Patriots are the best, but that's why that story is so great, and it was truly a David versus Goliath and all that, because you can't hype up the 01 Patriots, the first Patriots won, and like them being like 14-point underdogs, and then rank the 01 Rams like the 50th best team of all time. That's why I kind of like where Barnwell has them ranked so high.
Okay, well, maybe we'll pick back through this when we talk more Patriots
Not
coming up
bad.
at 1
Not
o'clock.
bad.